Elvis Presley is mainly known for his impact on rock and roll music, being held as the quote unquote king of rock and roll. However, in my heart, I've always felt that the impact Elvis had was more on soul music and gospel. Now, Elvis was a very passionate man when it came to the topic of gospel music. One of my favorite moments of the 68 comeback special is when he's talking about the changes in music of his time, and he always cited gospel and rhythm and blues being the source of why rock and roll music was the way it was, because at the heart of rock and roll, it's gospel, and it's true, because gospel at its roots is a proclamation of your love for Jesus, and it's a very proud and it's a very exciting thing that the message is being spread. And so rock and roll oftentimes is a proclamation of whatever your message wants to be, whether it's your proclamation of your stance against, big government, or your love for this person or that. It's the same concept, and it's oftentimes filled with the same energy and soul as gospel. So I've always understood the comparison, and I really do love that, because as someone who didn't grow up around gospel music, that connection really made sense to me and really made me appreciate that side of Christian music, because I've never grew up around that. So hearing the word of Jesus through gospel music really has helped me on my faith and really pushed me in the right direction, because I wouldn't have done so otherwise. And Elvis for me is a huge part of that, because a lot of Elvis's music has its roots in gospel, especially the albums he released that are specifically gospel. His first real gospel album was His Hand in Mine, which he released in 1960. It was Elvis' first big step into gospel music, and it was very popular at the time because it features so many beautiful performances, and it would start a trend for him that would last until he died. And I can't get into it now, but it'll make more sense as we keep going. So, come 1967, this is a huge moment for him when he releases How Great Thou Art. Now, How Great Thou Art was Elvis's first Grammy win, as he won Best Inspirational Performance, and it was for the song How Great Thou Art. And it truly is a beautiful performance. It's not quite beautiful in the same way as it would be later on, but it's a very peaceful and calming proclamation to the beauty of God's art, which is everything we see. It's us. It's truly a powerful message to spread, and I've always had an affinity to the song. There's also a lot of beautiful songs that appear on the song, or that appear on the album, such as "Where Should I Go" and "Crying in the Chapel." I do really enjoy "Where Should I Go." That would later appear on this next part, which would be during the comeback special. Now, during the '68 comeback special, there is a gospel medley, and is specifically dedicated just to gospel music. Elvis performs a medley of "Where Should I Go," "Up Above My Head," and "Saved." With accompanying dancers and accompanying singers, Elvis belts out a very passionate performance of not only his love for God, but how he's saved and how he's going to do the Lord's work. Essentially, that's the overall message of the medley, as it is literally. Now, I understand that it's most likely because he just loves the sound of the music, and he enjoys his faith that he would love to sing these songs. But when you put these songs in a certain context, that's what it is. And I've always felt that this very big, bombastic production was really powerful to me, and it really engaged on my senses, because I'm a big rock and roll fan. So this performance of these gospel songs were very beautiful to me, and I always loved hearing the '68 comeback special. It is my second favorite part, next to I can If I Can Dream. So I always hold this as a top five performance for Elvis. Um, and there's not much else I can say about it. Go watch it. Um, you'll be floored for sure. Now, as we move into the 1970s, this would ultimately be the lasting impact that gospel had on Elvis and the rest of his fans, as around this time is when he would start to really push gospel out there and would often dedicate specific moments to gospel music. Now, in 1972, he released his last dedicated gospel record, "He Touched Me." The song "He Touched Me" by I believe Bill Gaither wrote the song, or it might have been the Bill Gaither Band, but Bill Gaither released the song, and Elvis covered it, and it featured on his album. It was the main song, and that song won Most Inspiring Performance again, another Grammy. And the rest of the album is perfect. It is my favorite Elvis record. I listen to it all the time. Every song on there is beautiful. I love the very upbeat and fun songs such as "Seeing Is Believing" and what was the song? It was "I've Got Confidence." "I've Got Confidence" has so far been an anthem for my life, as it's, and again, I like to use the word proclamation. It's a proclamation that of I have confidence that Jesus knows the way for me and that he will certainly guide me in the right direction, whether I feel that it's maybe the right way or the wrong way. One of my favorite lines is referencing the story of Job and how he had lost everything, but he didn't care because God would still love him and would still support him throughout the rest of his life. And that's a beautiful message here. Other great songs, which are on the opposite end of really calming and peaceful and more worship in at its heart, such as "Reaching Out to Jesus." I really love that as a closer for the album. The last line of that song is truly powerful. It's comparable to "He Touched Me," the song itself, and "An Evening Prayer" is another really peaceful moment throughout the album. Now, around this time, Elvis Presley got J.D. Sumner and the Stamps to sing with him, and Elvis would often dedicate specific solo moments for that group to sing. He would get them to sing his personal favorite song, "Sweet Sweet Spirit." And there's a really beautiful moment during Elvis on tour where you see Elvis crying as the Stamps sing his favorite song, and it truly is powerful, and it really goes to show that he really did feel the faith and the love for God when he would hear these songs. Another song that he would dedicate for the Stamps to sing would be "Why Me, Lord," mainly for JD to sing. Although Elvis would sing with the Stamps on that one, it was another song that was specifically dedicated just for them. Now, the last real big moment I want to mention is Elvis's last Grammy win that he ever won in his career. So in 1974, at the Mid South Coliseum in Memphis, Elvis would perform, one last day on a tour that year, and he performed "How Great Thou Art" while recording for his live album, and it was probably one of the most beautiful performances I've ever heard any artist give. That recording never ceases to make me cry. It always forces me to feel emotional, because for one, the song itself, "How Great Thou Art," is a very beautiful song, and the combined performance of Elvis, but the combined performance of Elvis and J.D. Sumner and the Stamps, Kathy Westmoreland, and the Sweet Inspirations give are all very much giving 110% and really shouting this song out. It's truly powerful, and it makes me wish I was there, because like that reprise at the very end of the song where they go back into it, like I get choked up thinking about it. It's so beautiful. And Kathy Westmoreland singing those angelic high notes throughout the song, really, it's insane. I will definitely recommend anyone to hear it. I think everyone should hear that song at least one time in their life. And I definitely, it's my first recommendation to anyone that wants to get into Elvis. I definitely would make them listen to that song. I think it's one they need to hear. Now, as we wind down, I want to make mention of one last performance of How Great Thou Art, which was in 1977. It appears on the last live record that was released a year after, or it was soon after Elvis died. That performance is extremely beautiful. One of Elvis's best, like you've heard other performances that Elvis has given to this song, but on his own, as he stands, it is by far his most passionate performance of that song, and he gives everything on that. Um, I always love when he sings that and he says, "Oh, thank you, Lord." That it 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 hits so hard for me. But I also don't find it to be any better than the one in 1974. I always found that to be the peak, but it's very close. So that was the real story of Elvis and gospel. Elvis would also incorporate gospel into his classic songs throughout the years, mainly um, on songs that were able to be changed in that way, such as "That's All Right" and "CC Rider." They were both very similar in their change. He would he would get the sweet inspirations to join him and do classic call and response moments in the song, and it made for a big grand feel that would get everyone very excited to see him. So that overall as well really forced. Elvis really wanted everyone to feel how he felt about gospel, so he wanted to incorporate that into his stage show. But that's the last point I really want to make mention of. I really was excited to share the story of Elvis and gospel music. For me, the story means a lot because I never got into gospel, and this Elvis was my first experience with gospel music, and and thank God that I was able to have that experience because now I'm very passionate about learning gospel and being able to perform it because I think that my love for God is very proud and true, and I always felt that gospel is the most um, honest way to share it with everyone. I always felt it's the most raw and real way to share your love with God, and I hope that there's opportunities for me to do that because as Elvis did, it truly meant a lot to him, and it means a lot to me. And I hope I have the abilities to share my faith in that same fashion. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to share on this. I was feeling very passionate listening to He Touched Me, and I felt that I wanted to share his love for gospel and my love for gospel as well. So, yeah. Thank you very much for listening to me rant about this very specific topic. Have a great day.